You know the exact sound of a closing door when you've decided to walk away before anyone can judge the quality of your work. It is a sharp, clean click, a finality that tastes like protection, though it feels like ash in your mouth. You call it choosing your own path, but in the quiet hours of the morning, when the blue light of your phone screen is the only thing illuminating your face, you know it is something else entirely. It is a coward's shield, forged in the fires of a desperate, suffocating need to remain flawless. We tell ourselves that we are simply selective, that we only commit to things we can conquer, but the truth is a jagged piece of glass we refuse to swallow. You are terrified of the moment your potential meets the cold, hard floor of reality. You have built a life on the fragile foundation of "I could have done that perfectly if I had really tried," and you are petrified that one day, you might actually try, and find out that you are merely human. The mask fits so perfectly that you sometimes forget where your skin ends and the facade begins. You move through your days with a calculated grace, your emails perfectly punctuated, your responses measured to the millisecond, your appearance curated to suggest a life of effortless competence. But behind those closed eyes, there is a static noise that never fades. It is a relentless, low-frequency hum of judgment. You are both the judge and the prisoner, locked in a courtroom where the only evidence allowed is the appearance of excellence. Every project you leave unfinished, every friendship you pull back from just as it deepens, every hobby you abandon the moment you stop being a prodigy, these are not coincidences. They are strategic withdrawals. You treat your life like a gallery where nothing is allowed to be displayed unless it is a masterpiece. And so, the gallery remains mostly empty, cold, and echoing with the sound of your own heavy breathing. Consider the draft sitting on your desktop, the one you haven't opened in 3 months. It is the story of your potential. As long as it remains a draft, it is perfect. It holds the promise of being the greatest thing you have ever written, a magnum opus that would finally justify the pressure you put on your own chest. But to finish it is to expose it to the air, to let it be critiqued, to let it be average, to let it be ignored. So you leave it in the dark. You convince yourself that you are busy, that the timing isn't right, that you are waiting for a surge of inspiration that matches the height of your expectations. This is the lie that keeps you safe. You have convinced yourself that you are better off being a what if than a what is. The mediocrity you fear is not in the work, it is in the realization that your best efforts might not move the needle of the world at all. And that vulnerability? That is a canyon you are not ready to cross. It is a strange, quiet violence you commit against yourself every single day. You see your peers moving forward, making mistakes, looking foolish, learning, and growing through the debris of their failures. You envy their messiness. You watch them stumble, pick themselves up, and laugh, and you feel a hollow ache in your solar plexus because you know you are incapable of that kind of surrender. To surrender is to admit you aren't the genius you've projected. To fail is to lose the only currency you value, the belief that you are fundamentally superior because you haven't been measured yet. You exist in a state of suspended animation, a beautiful, polished statue that is slowly crumbling from the inside out. You hold your breath, waiting for a life that feels authentic, but you are too afraid to exhale, because exhaling means engaging with the world, and the world is messy, and unfair, and completely indifferent to your need for perfection. Sometimes, the weight of this invisible performance becomes physical. Your shoulders lock, your jaw aches from the constant tension of holding a smile that doesn't reach your eyes, and your sleep is a series of fragmented scenes where you are constantly running to catch a train that has already left the station. You are exhausted by the effort of pretending you aren't exhausted. You see others posting their progress, their raw, unpolished, vulnerable attempts at living, and you judge them, not because they are bad, but because they are brave enough to be seen in their imperfection. That judgment is a reflex, a defense mechanism to keep you from admitting that you are the one who is truly trapped. You are the architect of your own cage, meticulously weaving the bars out of excuses and procrastination, all to preserve an image that no one else is even looking at as closely as you are. There is a specific kind of loneliness that comes with being a perfectionist. It is the loneliness of being the only person who knows that your competence is a bluff. You cannot let anyone get too close, because if they see the hesitation, the doubt, and the fear, they might realize that you are just as confused and fragile as the rest of the world. You maintain a distance, a buffer zone of professionalism or aloofness, because to be vulnerable is to be vulnerable to disappointment. If you don't care, you can't be hurt. If you don't try, you can't fail. If you don't start, you can't end poorly. It is a closed-loop system of self-preservation that is slowly starving your spirit of the oxygen of experience. You are trading your life for a reputation that exists only in your own paranoid imagination, a phantom identity that is costing you your peace, your joy, and your ability to simply exist without a performative edge. The irony, the bitter, stinging irony, is that by avoiding the possibility of failure, you have guaranteed a different kind of defeat. You have guaranteed that you will never know the thrill of a breakthrough, the warmth of a genuine connection forged through shared struggle, or the satisfaction of creating something that is deeply, imperfectly, undeniably your own. You have chosen a life of safety, and in doing so, you have forfeited the right to be truly alive. You are an observer of your own existence, watching yourself from a distance, making sure you don't trip, making sure you don't bleed, making sure you don't become someone who has to explain away a mediocre result. But the price of this safety is total alienation from the human experience. You are drifting, untethered, an island of perfection in a sea of living, breathing, failing, beautiful chaos. And the worst part is knowing that the only person keeping you on this island is you. Deep down, under the layers of pride and anxiety, there is a small, quiet part of you that knows the truth. It is the part that remembers when you were a child, before you learned that praise was conditional and that mistakes were evidence of a character flaw. It knows that the fear isn't about the result at all, it's about the terrifying realization that you are not, and never were, the person you pretend to be. You are just a person, with all the inherent flaws, limitations, and contradictions that come with the territory. And the moment you finally stop trying to perfect the mask, the moment you allow yourself to drop the act and step out into the rain, you realize that the world doesn't care about your perfection. It only cares if you show up. You have spent your life trying to hold back the tide of reality with a sieve, and tonight, finally, you realize it is time to let the water in. The masterpiece I never finished. The life I never truly lived.